Well, I thought we did some really good things tonight. Obviously, it's nice to get a 30-point win. Florida A&M is going to have a good year in the SWAC. They got some pieces, and they always compete. So I thought we did a good job with a lot of things. Our first half, they got a little bit loose defensively, but great start to the game. We started the game with 8 straight stops. Then they scored once or twice, and then we had another kind of big run of getting stops, and we were able to extend that lead. Got a lot of good looks on the offensive end all game long. I thought we missed some wide open threes that we typically make. Obviously, our free throw shooting, it felt like a little bit of a disjointed game, and I just think a lot of it was like we ran really good offense, attacked them, got to the rim, got fouled, and you got to make teams pay. Certainly, we got to be able to shoot free throws better than that. The other night we started out 1 for 5 or 1 for whatever it was, 1 for 6 maybe, and then we really self-corrected and made almost all of them, going down the stretch. But we got to be able to shoot free throws better than we did, and I'm confident that we will do that. And I know they're trying, and you got to get a little bit of a rhythm to it, but we got to be able to execute that better. But loved how we shared the ball again. 25 assists, and 34 made baskets with only 10 turnovers. We've done a really good job of taking care of the ball this year as a whole. Some of our turnovers we just get a little bit. Like we just get this youthful exuberance to us, and when I say that, that's not a good thing. Where we just try to make the hero play instead of just simple plays, because when we do that, good things happen. But a lot of good performances tonight. Obviously, Mike, bringing Mike off the bench tonight, different look. Mike handled it in a professional manner and in a great way. Gave Hunter the start tonight. He's earned it. And we have a couple other guys could be in that role as well. And all of them are super good about just all of that because that's can go a lot of different ways. And I thought he responded in a great way. And sometimes it just gives you a different look, right? When you see the game, maybe through a different lens, maybe you relax a little bit. Certainly had the ball in his hands a little bit more tonight, which maybe helped him as well. So I thought we had a great team effort. Not perfect by any stretch, but I'm really happy with what we've been able to do here, especially the last 10 days or so. Almost felt like the Radford game was a little bit felt like game 1, and I don't mean that in a bad or a good way, but we just had the whole team together, and we had a real practice time with Caleb joining us, and Zach is kind of starting to round into shape with some things. So you feel like you're starting to gain a little bit of an identity. And we're going to need that as we go play a good team in Iowa on a neutral court. Craig, all right, guys, we'll see you later.
Craig, you already touched on this, but talking about the professionalism that Mike showed, but I mean, for him to be able to come out and he hits a couple quick threes, gets over 11 points, 3 or 4 minutes into it, just how well was that able to kind of establish for him, to have a solid night tonight?
Yeah, I thought he was good. He did a lot of good things out there, and Mike's a very talented guy. He's a good player, phenomenal person. I mean, phenomenal. Mike's a high achiever. Like, he has high expectations for himself. He puts pressure on himself. He's been practicing well. Like, so you just think back, and you're just thinking, you're constantly, as a head coach, coaching staff, you're always thinking about your team, right? Your staff, everybody. And sometimes just a different look, maybe seeing the game a little bit from a different perspective. Maybe it relaxed him a little bit. I can't speak for him, but certainly he had a great look to him, came out in a great way. He's been practicing pretty well in practice, so it's not like he's been bad in practice, but you just look at different lineups to maybe help him, but help everybody, of course. You're always thinking team first. But he can be such a dynamic, and he is a dynamic player. And obviously we were able to see that again tonight because it wasn't that long ago he was, playing pretty good. But there's ups and downs to the season. There's a lot of new guys on this team. Now we're adding all these other new guys, so it can affect guys. In a different way, right? And so nobody's happier for him than, of course, everybody on this team. When he started cooking and making some of those shots early, I mean, our bench was so excited. Everybody loves playing with Mike. And so it was awesome to see. And I think some of this is just how he handled everything. Like, perspective is an amazing thing in life. And he handled it in a real professional way. And he went out there and performed. And that says something about that guy.
I know you don't like to put too much stock into one game, but when you've got non-conference slate that can add to your resume, that's already going to be tough with the Big 12. How important is this Iowa game, though, knowing that that's kind of your last opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, they're all important, right? I mean, I was looking at this last night. I think we have, I think it was in Lenardi's deal. I think we have 14, counting St. Mary's and Mississippi. So I think we have 12 more games against teams projected to be in the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, obviously there's a real sense of urgency. It's not that, I mean, there's a lot of time to make up ground still, but like, I mean, it's a big game. But here on out, every opportunity. I mean, like we told our guys, it gets real now. You know what I mean? It gets real now. I mean, between the 20 games in Big 12 play and Iowa, and of course they have a great feel for us. We have a great feel for them since we played each other in the NIT. 6-7 months ago. They're a little bit different. We're certainly different. So they present a lot of challenges. Fran McCaffrey's a great coach. They're always a highly prolific offensive team that can really score the ball. They have a lot of quickness on their team. They're playing 4 guards now, and their center is a projected, at least I've seen as a projected first-round pick in one of the projections, I don't know, a month ago or whatever it was. But they're getting healthy. The Sanford kid, who is projected, depending on what you look at, second-round pick, who's an elite shooter, who's having some health issues, didn't shoot it as well as he typically does. I feel like he's kind of rounding in the form now, and they took Iowa State to the wire. So it's going to be a tough environment in a great venue, 3,600 people. I'm suspecting there's going to be a lot more Iowa fans than Utah fans there, so they say it's neutral, but it won't feel like that, I'm guessing. But it'll be a great test for us, and this is a kind of the first big test with all these guys right back together, and so I know these guys are excited about it.
Perspective isn't always easy in the middle of the season, but if you take kind of a step back midway through the season, where do you think you've succeeded? Where do you think maybe you still have room to grow?
I mean, it's a really good question. It's a fair question. It's fresh. I feel like we played with 3 teams, just to be real with you. When you lose the 3 centers and you've done things a certain way, and then you completely got to reinvent yourself. I mean, completely reinvent yourself for the first 4 or 5 games. We took Mississippi State right to the wire. Did a lot of really good things that way, but just couldn't figure it out late. And then some, then the games in between St. Mary's, except for maybe one, I thought we really played well and played as a team and played super connected. And then the St. Mary's game, I mean, it was a tale of 2 halves. Not very good the first half, really good the second half. But I felt like that's when we kind of hit our stride with Caleb being on the team and then this week of practice. So, I figured that question would be coming. And I've thought a lot about it, but I'm also like, to be fair to our pro players, like I feel like we've had 3 different teams that we've had to play in. You've heard me say this probably too much because of things, guys in and out of the lineup with injuries and whatever, but basketball is a game of rhythm and timing. You got to be able to find your identity and who you are and what you're about. And I think we've kind of had to find that probably 3 times, just to be real with it. So what I'm excited about is this group seems to be very connected. I think the numbers say that. I think you can feel that when you watch our team play. I love how we share the ball. I feel like we're getting a lot better on the defensive end, and I feel like in the last 10 days or so, we're finding an identity of who we are and what we are, and so that's really, really exciting. So I'm excited about a lot of things. Obviously, I'd love to be. What's our record? I'd love to be 10-0 right now, or 9-1 right now, and not 8-2. So you always want more, but if this team just keeps fighting in practice and they seem to have an attitude that craves improvement, want to be coached, and so excited what this team can do.
Kind of building off of that.
A lot on that answer.
Just building off of that a little bit, looking specifically in the post. I mean, you guys had a 44-20 edge in points in the paint tonight. How do you kind of feel like this post team that you're finally have together, how they're kind of meshing, how are things just kind of looking there from your perspective? Super
excited about this team, but excited about this front line. Tonight, clearly the start the second half, we were playing through Ezra. Ezra and Lawson combined go 9 for 12 from the field. Those 2 are developing some synergy together, but we've been basically, first half of the St. Mary's game, Zach did not play, but certainly he's been playing a lot more as he gets more into the shape. With his injury, he couldn't do anything for 5 weeks, anything. So it's taken him a little bit longer. But I love what he's doing on the defensive end. Those guys all play physical, and they all communicate. Zach's a great communicator, so is Lawson, so is Caleb, right? So those guys, and Ezra is really starting to find his groove that way and understanding what we're trying to do. So you feel it. He had his best week of practice as a Ute a week ago. So those guys bring athleticism and strength and physicality to the table. And so that's what a Big 12, front line, right, kind of looks and feels like. And then we still have the versatility to play Jake at the foursome and KD at the foursome, right? Depending on matchups and how things are going. But I like what they're bringing. I feel like they're really getting some synergy together, and they're all good passers. Like I thought stood out tonight. KD got that dunk in the first half. Well, I don't remember how Lawson got the ball, but Lawson made that play. Not many 7-footers can make that pass that he made, and it wasn't like a highlight reel play. It was just a simple play. But he was able to do that. Not a lot of bigs can do that. Ezra, to start the second half, was really making great decisions and finding guys. Caleb had a couple really good passes as well. Zach led to an easy one for Gabe to hit a 3 in the first half. So it's hard to find bigs like that can really make good decisions, and they do that.
Coach, obviously you have a huge slate coming up with Iowa and then conference play. I'm wondering, do you kind of take this game as a time to try out different lineups, try to get different guys going, or is it business as usual?
When you say this game, is it the one we just played or Iowa?
Sorry, today.
Yeah. That's a great question, because I was thinking about that depending on how the game went. And certainly as you go into this game, I know we're heavy favorites and we should win the game. But there's always a way to win a game. There's always a way to lose a game. So our mindset is like, well, we're playing the guys that have been playing well and going, and we got off to such a great start. And then I wanted to get some other guys. Once we got it, we got a 20-point lead pretty early in the game. It felt good about some things. So, Katie didn't play the last game. Wanted to get him some reps out there and game experience. You forget some of these guys. Miro is still just a sophomore and doesn't have a ton of game experience, right? Jake's the same way. So getting these guys some reps, but also finding continuity, right? Like we just talked about, basketball's a game of rhythm and timing, and these guys haven't been together a lot in a game environment. So really trying to fine-tune those things on both ends of the floor. And we're just going to keep learning and finding good lineups and who can handle what, in terms of game planning and guarding and what we're looking for. And this team has some depth to it, so it seems like every night's a little bit different.
All right, guys, obviously at the beginning of the game, you jumped out with a big lead. I think it was 18-3 before they kind of started to hit some shots. How important was it just kind of set the tone early, especially since the last 2 games have kind of started slow?
For me, I think it's just building great habits. We're about to enter the tough part of our conference or our schedule, so starting to build good habits, starting to come out strong, and again build that good habit.
Yeah, I think that an emphasis for us is we can't change no matter who we play, and so just coming out and doing what we do well. And I think another big focus for us has been keeping our foot on the pedal when that doesn't, or when we do get up to big leads. And so obviously you saw a lapse a little bit toward the end of the middle of the first half. And so there's obviously always things we can do better too, because I think that we definitely got a little lax at times. So.
You guys forced 18 turnovers tonight. You turned that into, I think it was 27 points. How did that kind of play, a hand in getting that lead and then kind of keeping it going?
Coach was making us, he was changing the defense up where we had to switch everything. So we were just kind of, practicing the different defense of scenes that, we practicing, transferring over to the game. So just building that intensity up, forcing turnovers is a big thing because we know we can put the ball in the rack. So I think our emphasis was just defense tonight, especially that ball pressure.
And I would build on that a little bit too. I think that our best offense is sometimes our defense just because we're so lethal in transition. And I think we know that that's been an emphasis for us, is just getting the ball up the floor. So we know that when we get stops and when we force turnovers, good things happen offensively too. But it starts on defense.
You guys have shown that you've been able to be pretty consistent offensively and defensively, but the one kind of struggle as of late especially has been the free throws. What do you guys attribute that to? I know you guys practice them. I know it's not that easy, but where do you kind of get that?
Do you want?
I think that rim is janky.
Okay.
Man, that just come with reps. But at the end of the day, like, that's just confidence, to be real. Like, that ain't nothing but confidence. It's a free throw, so, you know, I struggle with it myself, but I've been getting up at 7 o'clock every morning and shoot with my triplets, so, you know, I'm working on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been watching Utah basketball for a long time, obviously before I even got here, and I know that's something that was a struggle last year too. So I think that free throw shooting is one of those things that can be contagious too, and it kind of becomes a thing when you make it a thing. And so I think that obviously we got to get reps in, but then it just comes down, you make it in games, and people forget that you were missing them early. So it's just a rhythm thing, and I'm sure we shoot the ball well otherwise, but I'm not worried about the shooters that we have on the court, so they'll fall.
Ezra, you mentioned it earlier, but this is kind of the tough part of the schedule now. You got one non-conference game left, but it's against a Power 5 opponent. What's kind of the mindset going into the best basketball conference in the country?
I'll say consistency, being, you know, mentally prepared, physically prepared, making sure we're doing the right things to recover our body. Because at the end of the day, like, this is big time for us. This is the moment we really all been waiting on. So, again, just staying mentally, physically prepared. Like, we've been waiting on this moment, and take it game by game. Don't overthink and oversee anything at all.
For Ezra or Mason, just how do you kind of feel this team is gelling at this point? Obviously, over these last couple of weeks, you've got some guys, you know, the post guys who've come in, finally being able to play for you. And it's kind of led to, like, different guys getting different minutes. I mean, tonight, Mike, after a couple of games where he played 11 minutes, ends up going out there having 15 points. How do you feel like everybody's kind of gelling at this point?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, depth is obviously never a bad thing in college basketball. I think it would probably fall on the other side of that. I think it's a really good thing. But there's struggles internally. Obviously, you got to figure out who's getting what minutes, and you got to be okay to sacrificing, you know. And we've talked about it openly as a team, because at the end of the day, depth can be our greatest strength if we let it, but it can also be a weakness if we let it. And so I think just everyone staying on the same page, knowing that not every night is going to be your night, but your time's coming, you know. And it might not happen when you want it, but just showing up and being consistent, I think, is a really good thing. And it's been a focus for us. And then, yeah, just getting, like, we played our first however many games without a big, you know, out there. And not that you're not big, but whoa.
Wait. All right. Not for me. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, so it's good to get those guys back out there. But I'm going to stop talking before I get myself in trouble.
Now, for me, I think it's just more of, like, keep encouraging. Like, at the end of the day, we all still encouraging each other. Even when practice, you know, time comes, just telling each other just to continue to go hard. Because at the end of the day, we just know when our moment is, and at the same time, you don't know when somebody is going to get hurt or anything like that. So just always being prepared and, you know, off the court bonding. Like, we always talking trash to each other in the group chat and everything. And, you know, I've been streaming on Twitch, so, you know, I've been telling the boys to watch me on Twitch. You know, we do a little vlog and everything.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like, but now we're really bonding though. Like, I think that's a big thing as well, like having that bond and getting to know the teammates, honestly.
And I guess just kind of what do you hope to get out of this last game in non-conference before Big 10 or Big 12 play opens up?
For me, it's behind us, so it's really that time, like, real talk.
I would say that, I mean, first of all, I'm going to be playing in front of all my family. Like, that's really close to home for me, so that's really exciting, obviously, to go back and play in front of people I haven't seen in a long time. But I think team-wise, it's like our last chance in the non-conference to capitalize on at least one big-time quad one game, you know? And, like, you can say that stuff doesn't matter, but obviously it does, you know? Like, if our aspirations are the tournament, this is, I wouldn't say it's a must-win game, but it's up there. It's close. And so I think that we're going in with intention and focus, and our next few days of practice will set us up beautifully for that. So,
Mason, you touched on it there, but this being your last season, what are your goals kind of heading into this stretch of big games with Iowa and then conference play?
yeah. Are you talking individual or team?
Both.
I think individually, like I've always said, I'll do whatever it takes to win. Like, this is my last year. I'll come to terms with it, but I think it'll be a regret if I don't ever make the tournament in my college career. And so I'm willing to do whatever it takes to win. And I think that we're obviously in a really good conference. It sets us up for success as far as that goes. But the opportunities are going to be there, so we're going to have to take advantage of it. And then team-wise, I think just working continuously toward our final form, you know, and like we just talked about, like, we've gotten a lot better, but there's a long way to go. So I think just showing up every day and not getting bored. I think that's what separates teams down the stretch because, like, the days are monotonous, you know, and they're very similar, and it can get boring for some teams. But I think to not let it get boring and to find different ways, small ways to get better every day is going to lead us to success down the stretch.
And he got to be a good big brother.
That's right.